Have you ever thought about how everything is travelling? And you know, I've often talked about finding those pockets of silence for healing to take place and for you to be restored and let your health come back together. And you know, I'm sitting here in the middle of the countryside, really, but I can hear a train off in the distance. I can hear at least 2 aeroplanes above me. I can hear a dump truck and the concrete mixing place just across the way, about a quarter of a mile away, but they're all very clear, and yet they're actually a very long way away from here. And then there's the wildlife that's travelling, you know, always travelling, never really still. And I think that we sometimes miss that buzzing fly and that humming bee. And I was working this morning on the cot that I've been making, and I really have enjoyed it, and I was getting a buzz out of that. It was really fun. And I've been working on another project that uses plywood only, and actually it's a plywood and machine only project, pretty much. You can do the whole thing with just machining, and I've actually found it quite therapy, really, because it's so unusual for me to ever do that. And I did find it, I would never want to do this. I would never want to do nothing but machining all day, because that is just developing parts for assembly. That's not woodworking in my view. I know that's probably seems offensive to some of you, because I know some of you do machining all the time, and I don't mean to be offensive at all. I really don't. I just have never found the levels of satisfaction I get from handwork with machines, and maybe other people do, but I do know that hand tools are a high demand way of working with wood. But this business of travel, moving, constant movement, beeping and clicking and pressing buttons, and it made me reflect on the way we live now, and maybe the way we might have lived 100 years ago, before the Great War, as it was called. And you know, we're in this time now where I think it's Armistice week this week. Hello, puppies. Hello. I've been invaded by 2 puppies and 3 more on the way. 2 more, 3 more. I'm recording, but you're fine. I'm not doing anything special. It's nice to have some reality.
I just want to just go and dip their paws.
Oh, please, yeah. There they go. Don't you ever feel like doing that? I do. I probably should.
Enjoy your day.
Thank you, and you. Bye. Bye. So where was I? Talking about travel, birds travelling, people travelling, dogs travelling, the world's on a move all the time, in every direction you can imagine, underwater, over water, in the skies. And sometimes we have just got to get off our conveyor belt, our particular conveyor belt, and to do that, my best way of doing that is to stop, get off my bike, put the cameras away, put my phone away, switch off, and take 10 minutes, that's all. Just try shutting down for 10 minutes and don't switch click or do anything to change it, and you'll see the ripples in the water like I do right now, and you'll see the sun glistening on the little riplets, and you'll see the birds come in and go, and you'll see somebody walking with their dog. They'll come into your territory, say something nice, and they'll disappear. It's just therapy, that's all it is. For I know we're gonna meet again some sunny day. Won't you please say hello? I bought this tenon saw, this dovetail saw. It's a Robert Groves, and I like the handle on these. I've got this one, which is mine here, and I use this one all the time for my dovetailing. So I felt like I could do with another one, but when you compare the two, put the two alongside one another, this one looks quite distasteful, really. So what I'm planning on doing, I bought it knowing that it was in this condition. I paid, but I don't know what I paid really. But what I'm going to do is, I want to see this here. You can see how bad the pitting is, and that does affect the saw when it's as bad as this. And both sides are the same, which means this was left in some dark cellar somewhere. You see these little dings in the caps there, where on the threaded nuts. That's where somebody's used a punch instead of a screwdriver with a split. So what I do is when I need a split nut driver, I just file out the middle of a regular screwdriver, and then it fits in there and it does the job very nicely. So that's where I'm going. But what I'm going to do is change this blade for this one. This is a Spear & Jackson blade. These saws you can pick up for anywhere between a few pounds, maybe even pennies sometimes, because nobody wants them. It's not a very nice handle. It's comfortable enough, but it's not brill. Whereas this one is just very, very nice and very comfortable. So I want this handle, this brass back on this saw blade. So we unscrew these buttons here. And I could probably just take out those dings if I wanted to, but I think it's part of the history of the tool, so I'm not going to bother. Put this over a recess like this. I'm just using the head side of the nail punch here. Oh, these are moving right along. Boy, that one went on the floor. Oh, it's a long way down when you get past 65. There's my handle off. A flathead screwdriver like this, put it underneath the bar and just work it up like that. That's my blade out. I'll keep the nuts, I'll use these, and I may even reshape this handle for something else. That's that one. There's my handle off. There we go. So there's my back. Now I want to line this up. So what you do is you start, make sure you've got this foredge just slightly overhanging the front. And then start with this heel here. So this has got to go on at this far end here. I'm close to being there. The brass needs to go further in by about 1/8. You want this fully registered into the housing here on the back. Ooh, that is so close. In fact, I think that's it. So now I've got my brass nuts to go in. So there I've got a saw that I can use for another 150 years. Till I die, even. It's not going very well, this one. Oh yeah, it is. Yeah. And that's before I even sharpen it. There it is, a beautiful saw that I can use for a lifetime. So what were the big things that happened this week for me? One of the big things was my daughter-in-law gave birth to my granddaughter, and everything went well. Baby's fine, mama's fine, dad's fine, everybody's catering very nicely, very well. The baby is very beautiful, obviously. But so I suppose everything else pales into insignificance from there. But I've accomplished a lot. I've got a lot done in terms of making, designing, building, planning, and all of those things. So I'm really happy with the week. This is the Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening. I'm just about finished for the day. I do feel a bit tired. Sun's going down. But I've done 2 pretty long cycle rides today. Long for me, 5 miles, 6 miles. And then I've walked, and I've done some nature watch, bird study, that kind of thing. Watch people come and go. But I came into the shop. By the time I'd done the first bike ride, it was still only 9 o'clock, and I'd visited with different people and enjoyed it. But today I've been cleaning and tidying, which I love to do on a Saturday. I like to close my week with a really good clean up, put my tools in order and get things ready for the next week. I love to have Sundays when I'm not working, when I can just dedicate myself to what I love the most. And so I do that on a Sunday. I love Sundays because I can rest and relax and take in the peace that passes all understanding, I guess. So I love that, and now I am settled down with my late lunch and my book, and I'm going to sit here and just read for a while and enjoy my All-Pro, which I love periodically. It's really cold this morning. Someone's chattering away there. So I bought in a bandsaw. It's not a big one, it's not powerful, but I did want to get it to see exactly what you got for your money. So the whole thing only weighs about, I don't know, 40 kilograms. I can lift it, but it does have a cast iron table, so we're going to unwrap this, unpack it, and see what we got. £274 plus £54 VAT. I remember when VAT was 2%. And the table, ooh, it's a bit small, but it will probably be fine. So it's quite small, which I knew. Fence. And then there is a bandsaw, all in one piece. It needs the legs bolting on. There. So you don't actually have to have the legs. You could make a bench for it if you wanted to. So it's a compact little machine. It's kind of cute really, isn't it? But I wanted to try this out because sometimes this is all anybody is going to get the opportunity to have a small bandsaw like this. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. Very low, but it will be fine because I'll jack it up. Pretty good, that. It cuts quite fine, so I'm happy with it. It cuts through the cross cut fine, no problem. So I think for a handy machine, if you're just downsizing relatively small stock, but even 2.5 inches thick in oak is not a small stock, so I think you'd be happy with this as certainly a good entry-level machine. I think if you wanted to test out a bandsaw and see how it works for you, this would be a great place to start. I just couldn't resist this. You know when you're passing somewhere and you suddenly see a beautiful sight, and this is just so lovely here. I've just had my lunch. I took a bike ride. Instead of having lunch, I took a bike ride, and I did stop for a coffee, but it's hard to imagine. But look at this sun here glinting off the water, and tell me that doesn't knock the socks off anything. Pretty dark skies coming in. We're going to have some inclement weather later tonight. I like this cold snap we're getting. I've enjoyed this year. We've had a really hot summer, lots and lots of sunshine, and I am so privileged a person just to be alive. I love what God has given me. It's so lovely.